Hey, I'm Rosie.
I'm Brendan, and welcome to House of the Builder podcast, where faith and work take long walks on the beach at sunset and hold hands, and maybe they get married? Who knows? Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. On today's episode, we talk with Father Dom from Harmel Academy. He's the chaplain and welding and fabrication instructor there. The school's in Michigan. It's pretty rad.
And we're going to delve into the gospel of work, how even welding and the work you do can be a prayer, and we're going to pretend to know some things. Stay tuned.
You'll see right through it. Anyways, all this and more on this episode of the House of the Builder podcast.
Okay, bye, love you.
Beautiful. That was good.
That was good.
That was good. Nice. All right, Father Dom, thanks for coming on the House of the Builder podcast.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
We're really excited. You're our first guest.
Really?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
this is our first episode we're recording.
You got to be kidding me, man. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I am honored.
Okay,
I am
we're
so
honored
honored.
to have you. We're super pumped about this.
Good
Start
for
off
you
with
guys.
that.
This is great.
Yeah, thank you. So for those of our listeners who don't know who you are, what you do, just give us like a little quick rundown, and then we'll dive right in.
No, yeah, I'd be happy to. My name is Father Dominic Couturier, and I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan, a great old country of U.S. of A. So I'm a priest. I'm a diocesan priest. I'm the pastor of Our Lady of Consolation Parish and School in Rockford, Michigan. So just north of Grand Rapids a little bit. It's a wonderful church, a fairly large church for our diocese. We have close to about 1,800 to 1,900 families. We got a school that's pre-K through 8th. We're about, I think, 260 kids. So big and busy. I don't have an associate. I have 2 deacons, so I'm a very busy man. But I love being a diocesan priest, and also I'm the chaplain, welding instructor, and metal fabrication instructor for Harmel Academy of the Trades. When you guys found out about Harmel and me, I mean, this is how we're making that connection through Harmel, and I'm excited to talk about Harmel with you guys. But other than that, a little bit more about me. I've been a priest for 5 years. I was ordained in 2020, so I'm what they call a later called vocation. So I didn't enter the seminary till I was 33 years old. Exactly. I know. I was like, hey, what better age? What better age to just say, hey, Jesus, here's what you're calling me to be a priest at 33 years old. Okay, Jesus. Well, that makes sense. Like,
Point
all right,
taken. All right, yeah.
sign me up. But before that, I mean, just a little bit about myself. I'm assuming this podcast is going to be centered on, the beauty, the dignity of work, the gospel of work, Jesus Christ, us men, what we do in the world is work. So just kind of revealing a little bit about myself just through the lens of work. Work has always been a part of my life. I mean, ever since I could walk, I remember being out on the farm with the rest of my siblings. We were raised on a small farm in the country, and I can remember as a little kid, I'm out barefoot and we're weeding the gardens, feeding the chickens and the turkeys and the pigs and stuff. So at a real young age, just connected to nature in a very deep way. Also the family unit in a very deep way as well. We lived a very simple life, relatively poor, I guess, from some cultural standards, until the family business started taking off. And I'll get to that in just a second. It was instilled in us. I'm the second youngest of 6. It was instilled in all of us that we work, and we work together as a family, and work is what binds the family, especially on the farm, right? And so I can remember way back when, just working, and it was always part of our life. It was like, well, we never didn't work. It was work, but it was always around family. Like the family unit was always at the center, and then work, revolved around that to help support the family, the community, right, society at large. So that's what we did. We worked. On top of, the small farm, which was more like a hobby farm. So everything we grew and everything we raised, it was for the family. I mean, we cut wood. It was awesome. I cherish my childhood. It was very beautiful, very precious to me, very formative as well, and helped, I think, make me into the man that I am today. My grandpa and my dad started a metal fabrication company when my dad was like 19. So 1967, I think, is when they bought land and started building the company. But before that, my grandpa had a part-time job building wrought iron railings in his garage.
Mm.
So my dad grew up, doing that as well too, in the garage, and twisting spindles for railings, and fabricating and installing with my grandpa. And so anyway, my dad at 19 dropped out of college and told my grandpa, "Hey, let's start a company." My grandpa caught the tail end of World War II, so he had his GI Bill. So he used a big portion of his GI Bill, and they just started a company. It's like, let's move out of the garage, let's buy some property, let's build a little fab shop, and let's just see what happens from there. So it moved from residential wrought iron work, like spiral stairways and wrought iron railings, interior, exterior, all for like residential, complete turnkey, right? So all the field measuring and all the layout, all the fabrication, painting, installation, all that they did. And my dad is one of, and he's the oldest, and so his brothers started working at the company out of high school, and so it began to grow and grow and grow and grow. And so soon the company moved out of residential and started doing commercial work. So we moved into the miscellaneous and architectural metal industry. And it's pretty much our bread and butter were monumental, freestanding, monumental curved stairway systems. So freestanding, they call it double helix, monumental curved stairs. I mean, they could be anywhere from 5,000 pounds to 40,000 pound, stairways, completely self-supporting, just connected at the bottom and at the top. And so that kind of became our niche. So we really began to specialize in architectural metal fabrication. And I started working there. I would beg my dad, "Dad, take me to work, take me to work, take me to work." He's, "Oh, you're too young, you're too young, you're too young." Finally, at 8, I think it was about 8 or 9 years old. I think about 8 years old, my dad finally took me to the shop, like on Saturdays or, during breaks during the school year, and started working at the shop. Started sweeping the floors. Then I was in the bolt room. Then I was in grinding and polishing, and slowly, I moved my way up to being a lead fabricator on the shop floor by the time I was like 17 or 18 years old. So my whole entire life was at Couturier Ironcraft. That's our family business, Couturier Ironcraft, and gosh, that was formative too. I was not good at school whatsoever. Like ADHD sprinkled with a little dyslexia, and it made a recipe for, I don't like school very much. I don't like sitting on my butt all day. It's not for me. For some people it is. That's great. But there
You're
are
reading
men
my book right now. You're reading my book right now.
Then there are guys out there, who have a mechanical genius with their hands, and that's a gift from God, right? They're not called to the university. They're called to work with their hands. In our society and culture, I don't know about you in Canada, but here in America, we're lacking in the trades. We're in a huge trade deficit. By the time 2028 rolls around, at least in our U.S. economy, when it comes to the trades, we're going to be in a deficit. I mean, we're still going down.
Same here. Same thing here.
Okay. Yeah. And so, Couturier Ironcraft, that was really my school. I learned a lot of what to do and a lot of what not to do, being raised by iron workers, really. And so, before I became a priest, I had spent part-time, full-time 23, 24 years at Couturier Ironcraft. The only thing that made me stay in school was sports. I'm very, very athletic. I played all kinds of sports, loved baseball. Baseball carried me through high school and carried me into college. And in college, I barely got my business degree, all with the mindset of, hey, it's going to be all for Couturier Ironcraft. I'm going to take it into the next generation. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have like 20 kids. They're all going to work at Couturier Ironcraft. We're going to spread Couturier Ironcraft all over the country. I'm going to be a billionaire.
Yeah. Repopulate the earth, tradespeople.
With all couturiers, with all couturiers. Yeah, the new garden, But yeah, I mean, I was formed by work. Actually, back it up a little bit. Being raised Catholic, and there was a time that I fell away from the church, about 15 to 28. I had a major conversion when I was 28 years old, and that's a different story. But it brought me full force into the Catholic Church. But by the time I was 32, 33, I was so in love with the Catholic faith and spreading it wherever I went that it was clear to me that God had called me to be a priest and to be a worker and a laborer in a different harvest, right? And so I said yes. 7 years in seminary. Before I was ordained, Harmel Academy fell in my lap, and by that time it was about 2018. The concept had started with two gentlemen who were business owners in 2016, and they were friends, and began asking the question of, why isn't there a good labor force out there? Why can't we find good workers? Why can't we find young men who want to work with their hands, who want to work hard, who want to show up on time, who could pass a drug test, who has a mechanical genius, and they want to devote their life to bettering themselves through the gospel of work? So they were lamenting, we can't find good workers. We can't find good workers. Well, hey, you know what? As good Catholics, what do? If we're lacking in an area, we don't sit and complain about it. We get our hands dirty and we say, hey, you know what? We're going to do something about that. So they came together and they stopped lamenting and complaining about how there's no good tradesmen out there. And they said, we're going to do something about it. I was like, yeah, that's what we do as Catholics. Those are the saints, right? We do something about it. And so they came up with this idea of, let's take, a very robust, thorough Catholic, classical-based education systems, right? Humanities, deep philosophy and theology, logic, reason, music, arts, mathematics, and let's apply that to the work world. And there's nothing like this in the world. Actually, there was one. Leon Harmel, at the turn of the 19th century, 1800s into the 1900s, he did start something like this. And that's why we're called Harmel, because our philosophy and concept is named after him, after Harmel. And we can talk about that later. So in 2016, the concept was born. The two gentlemen started working on the concepts. The ball started rolling. They started getting a lot of interest. They started getting a lot of backing. They started getting a lot of support, at least from philosophers and theologians, and also local Catholic businessmen saying, hey, we'll support you with this. We'll teach classes, both in philosophy, theology, and in the trades. Oh, and by the way, here's money. So they just started receiving a lot of money and funding. And we're like, okay, the Holy Spirit's working here, man. We got to do this. And we petitioned a local Catholic college, Aquinas College here in Grand Rapids, and they pitched him this idea, full business proposal statement, and they said, quite a few are on board, but the majority of them said, yeah, we're not interested in this. This really isn't Catholic. And so it's like, okay, all right, Lord, now what do we do?
What was it for that?
I'm not totally sure. The irony of that is we moved. We're there now. We're there. This is our first year next to Aquinas College. I could talk about that again.
That's so awesome.
So, they're like, okay, what do we do, Lord? You want us to do this? We have no home. We need your help. And they started praying and fasting about it. And they get a call from a Christian Reformed college down the road called Kuiper College. And mind you, like we're Catholic as can be. Like we 100% like saturated Catholic idea, institution, education system, everything. And they said, I think we have a home for you. We're like, okay, you do know we're Catholic, don't you? Oh, yeah, we do. That's cool. Come to our campus, and I think we have what you're looking for. They did. They had everything we were looking for. They had a perfect space where we could build our lab. They gave us a whole dorm building for the guys, and we could be integrated with the student body and population, their cafeteria, their gym, their sports fields, and things like that. It was perfect. It was perfect. So 19, we rolled up onto their campus. We started setting up shop. 2020 was our first academic year. And we brought in, during COVID, it was hard.
Yeah.
We brought in 6 guys. 6 guys was our first class. And we ran them through the program. And then our next class, and these guys came from all over the country. We didn't have a robust marketing platform at all either. It was all word of mouth, a lot through the homeschool family system. And so, these young men who came to Harmel, they heard about the academy just through word of mouth. Our first year, there was, a guy from Colorado, Illinois, a couple other states I don't remember. But then the next year, we had about 13 guys, so we doubled. And then we had guys from Alaska, and then guys from California and New York and Florida. Not too many from Michigan, which is interesting. And the next year after that, we almost doubled. And then this year, we moved off of Kuiper College because we're growing too fast. Kuiper can't sustain us. And then we were renting property next to Aquinas College, a bigger dorm, a bigger lab. And now this year, we have, I think 33 men.
There's
And
that number again.
hey, yeah, there it is. It keeps popping up. I never really paid attention to that. So yeah, gosh, man, that's where we're at right now. And 2018, Harmel fell in my lap. I kind of heard it through the grapevine, and I hadn't been ordained a priest, and I called up the president and the co-president of Harmel, and I said, hey, you don't know who I am. I'm going to be a priest. This is my resume. I've been in metal fabrication and project management for almost 23 years, and I'm going to be a priest, and you're going to need me. So let me know when I can come in and start working.
What a way to interview.
Yeah. They loved it. Yeah, mic drop. So I met with them, and I got brought on to the team and immediately was made chaplain. I got that approval by the bishop. The bishop loves Harmel. They support us. We got his approval. It's very important that when you start an apostolate of this nature in a diocese, you have to get the bishop's approval and his blessing. In the spiritual world, Satan knows whether something has been approved by the local bishop or not. So there's just protection in that. There's also, a connection with the diocese and the bishop, and also the diocesan Catholic school system as well, too, because now we're kind of included in that network. So it's just a beautiful thing. We just get support from our bishop. So yeah, since 2018, I've been with Harmel, and I help with formation. And as I said, I'm the welding instructor, metal fabrication instructor. But I can only spend, now that I don't have an associate here at LC, I spend pretty much all day Wednesday there, so about 10 hours a week. And then obviously the rest of my time is here with the parish. So yeah, a little bit about myself and a little bit about Harmel.
Is there any chance in the future that you'll just be full-time dedicated chaplain?
Yeah, I've thought about that. I don't know. I just have to leave that up to Jesus and, let him guide me. Harmel is very natural for me. I fit in. I've never been a stranger. It just makes complete sense to me. It really does fulfill my essence as a man and also as a priest. So I think there's definitely a calling there. I don't know what it looks like in the future. I'm a diocesan priest, and so we're lacking priests in our diocese big time, and the bishop can't afford to release me and just be full time at Harmel. I could take a smaller parish without a school, and then maybe spend a lot more time at Harmel, but still I'd be kind of pulled back and forth. So right now I'm just kind of going with the flow and just letting the Holy Spirit guide me, sort of things.
Well, we'll pray for increase in vocations to your area, so you can
Yeah,
go
there you
full time
go.
at Harmel.
There we go. I like that. That's a good prayer.
Just for that, yeah. Yeah, just for Father Dom. Please,
Yeah.
bring some vocations out of Harmel.
Yeah. We want some Canadian students, man. I
Yeah.
think we had a couple that were discerning, but they never came down.
Yeah. What is it? There's a beginning and an end to discernment. What is it? Our Lady of Perpetual Discernment is not a devotion in the Catholic Church.
No, yeah, that's right. You eventually have to, you definitely have to make a decision.
You gotta walk at some point, right?
Face the consequences of your actions.
Yeah, that too. So okay, wow. Like we were brainstorming this show, and I just had this idea and this kind of desire to create this show, and then like I wonder if there's any, and I just started Googling like Catholic in trades, and then found Harmel, and then saw you a couple videos on their website that you were talking, and I was like, this guy's a priest and he's a welder fabricator.
Yeah.
Like that's incredible. I was like, okay,
that's the coolest.
I got goosebumps just thinking about it, because when I realized that, I was like, faith and trades can coexist. It's like faith and science, those types of things, because it's all trades is secular. Trades people are rough around the edges and they swear and drink a lot and all that stuff. And I was so inspired, because deep down I knew that was possible. And then we had this idea for the show and creating this community, but also uplifting people and discovering how they can find God in their work. And so then I started watching this video, and I'll link to it in the description of this episode, of you talking about faith and trades, and talking about this like co-creative aspect. And something I also want to touch on that you mentioned, the gospel of work, which is cool. We'll talk about that after. But finding God in your work. But can you talk a little bit about that co-creative? Because I've often thought about it, or I've heard about it in like a vocational, like marriage context, right? Where you have kids and that's a co-creative aspect, but I never thought about it in, something that you've built. So do you want to dive into that a little bit? Because how you explained it on the video, I can't. I'm an idiot. I can't.
Yeah,
I
thanks.
can't eloquently say that. So can you dive into that? We can talk about that.
Yeah, talking about the gospel of work and participating in God's co-creative act as created in the imago Dei, the image of God. There's all different kinds of ways you can look at this concept and divine concept and unpack it, because there's so much spiritual richness entailed into that, not only for the tradesmen in particular, but all human beings. But for the sake of what we're unpacking today, looking at it from the perspective of trades, we have these, right? We have hands, and then we got stuff. I'm picking up a metal hammer here, or I'm picking up some medallions, metals, or I'm picking up a glass bottle here. Like, we have stuff and material in this world, right? You look outside and we have dirt, we have trees, we have, you dig far enough, you can find iron ore, you can find all these minerals. Like, God creates the world, and in the world is stuff. And then through the participation of God, we can use our intellect, and we can also use our hands to take the stuff that's around us and to participate in God's co-creative act to build something that points to Him, to build things that are beautiful, right? Most specifically, like you were talking about, participating in the procreative act of God in marriage, right? You participate in creating another human being. Like, wow, that's amazing. God wants to be with us in a very deep and divine way. That's how much He loves every single one of us. And since every single human being is created in the image and likeness of God, we have this calling to discover Him, know Him, love Him, and to serve Him. But then to have a calling, right? To have a calling into what we call bring the gospel of work into the world. To bring the gospel of work into the world. And of course, when we talk about the gospel of work, we're automatically going to look at, God in the flesh, the incarnation, the Christ, the Messiah, right? Jesus. So we can look at the co-creative act by just looking at, okay, well, God takes on flesh. That means something. He became human. Not only that, He became man. And not only that, He was a worker.
Yeah.
In Greek, we all know, right? In Greek, tekton. Tekton is like a construction worker. We know that Christ was more than a carpenter. He was not only someone who worked with wood, but He was a construction worker, right? So have any of you guys been to the Holy Land, ever been to Bethlehem or Nazareth or any? So I've been there multiple times, and I love going up and reflecting in Nazareth, where Jesus was raised for a very long time, right? He was raised. And at that time, it was a very, very small town, very small town. But around Nazareth, especially as the Roman Empire was growing, and with King Herod as well, and all his building projects, they used hired labor, right? The Romans used hired labor, and also King Herod used hired labor. So sometimes we may think like Jesus Christ and Joseph, they spend all their time in a little wood shop building tables or chairs, or maybe, right? But since I've been an ironworker most of my life, and I've traveled the world and I've been on big job sites, I don't think really much has changed over the past 2,000 years when it comes to big projects, multiple trades coming together, multiple materials coming together, multiple supervisors coming together, a major designer and a major funder, right? So when we think of Christ as the tekton, as the carpenter, we have to understand that more than likely him and Joseph, they were hired labor as well. So they would be on job sites for long periods of time, and they'd be working with other men, and they'd be doing a variety of trades. If the Roman Empire hired labor to build roads, which they did, and aqueducts, which they did, you're working with stone. King Herod hired labor to build synagogues, right? You're working with stone, you're working with wood, right? So when we look at Jesus, we look at him as the tecton. We look at him as someone who was a very hard worker, someone who knew a lot about the trades and taught by St. Joseph and worked with men on job sites.
That's
right?
so cool to think about.
And so, when we look at the trades and we look at what Harmel is doing, and there's a couple other schools who are doing what we're doing as well too. There's one by Steubenville, there's one in Chicago, there's one out in Texas, California. So there's a couple other schools like Harmel that are starting to spring up. And so when we look at the gospel of work and we look at the co-creative act, we always have to start with Jesus Christ, right? And what he did. We always have to start with, the image of God. We always have to start with God gave us a mind. Right? When we look at men, when we look at the trades, God gave us a mind. God gave us these hands. God gave us our strength. God gave us our virility. God gave us our ability to do strenuous things, to work hard, blood, sweat, and tears, right? To do things and build things that are good for the family, for the community. That's the gospel of work. That's the gospel of work, participating in God's co-creative act, because we can take his creation and then we can use his creation in a good way, not an abusive way, to better the kingdom of God, to bring the gospel, most especially on the shop floor, where if it's standardized manufacturing and you're running a MIG welder like 12 hours a day, same weld.
Yeah.
Every single weld is a prayer. Every single weld means something.
That's so
Every
cool.
single weld is taking metal from this earth, taking gas from this earth, taking all kinds of material and creating something that's going to be used. Welding is very important, right? Welding binds things together with strength. So every weld is a prayer. Every monumental stair that I built, right? That's a prayer. Everything, even working with other men, that's a prayer in itself. So at Harmel Academy, when we talk about the co-creative act, we go to the image of God. We go to the things and the stuff of this world. We go to the intellect, a man's virility. We go to his hands, the mechanical genius. We go to the gospel. We go to Jesus Christ. We go to Catholic Church teaching. And we bring all this together in a synergistic harmony with every single student that comes into Harmel, right? Because we have a very robust humanities, classical-based education system as well. We have professors who will come in and they'll teach these guys about Catholic social justice teaching. We'll teach these guys, everything from advanced mathematics, philosophy. We'll dive into Joseph Pieper. We dive into JP2. We dive into Pope Leo XIII, hit Rerum Novarum, his encyclical about social justice and the dignity of the man and work. St. JP2 and Laborum Exercitio, about the dignity of labor. And so we instill in the student the Catholic reality, the fullness of the Catholic reality of what it means to be a worker, pulling from theology and philosophy and humanities. And then we get them in the lab. And then we teach them electrical, we teach them HVAC, we teach them plumbing, we teach them what welding and metal fabrication, machine systems technology, CNC, servicing CNC equipment. And then we teach them, right? There's no division between your Catholic faith and work in your trade. So what Harmel does is it bridges that gap with the humanities of Catholic social justice teaching, the dignity of work, the Imago Dei, and all kinds of other beautiful things that the Catholic Church provides. We bridge that gap between the house where they live together, pray together, have humanities and classes together, and then 50 yards away is the lab where they get their hands dirty. So we make that connection, we bridge that gap of humanities and the lab, where you can take what you learn into the lab. You can take what you learn and bring it into the workforce, because Harmel Academy is forming the next Catholic tradesman. That's what we look at, right? We look at the wholeness. We look at the wholeness of the human being. We look at the wholeness of the man. We bring everything together in synergy, and then we send them forth, just like Jesus did, right? Okay, here's the gospel of work. Now go and make the world a better place through work, family, community, your church, through what's instructed to you here at Harmel Academy. So that's the basis. And we do that through, Harmel isn't a trade school per se. Harmel is a community of prayer, work, and study. It's all together. So it's more than just, hey, here's a trade. Here's how to be a plumber, and then now go out and make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I was gonna ask, did you get any like pushback or resistance when you were, or like, I don't know if you were part of the beginning process, but incorporating those more like the social justice stuff, the humanities? Did you get any pushback when or whoever proposed that? He's like, well, this is a trade school. Why would we need to, like, did you get any of that, or was everyone just on board?
Well, the guys who come in and, the people who want to work or volunteer for Harmel, they love it. They understand it. They're all on board. But what you're referring to, we had to really sometimes work with people who we asked financial support from. So what again is Harmel? It's not a trade school? What is Harmel? It's a religious order?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean it's all male? Oh, no. Mm-mm. I'm not going to give you a dime until you start bringing women in. So we got that. I think we get more of a kickback from requests for financial support and the denial because you're all male. You're all male. But gosh, most people are completely on board with this. But just like any organization, institution that needs financial support, it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. You have people who support it, but they don't give money. But sometimes we do. But it's a great opportunity to not really, talk about Harmel, but the way we look at it, it's a great opportunity to evangelize,
Mm-hmm.
to talk about the gospel of work, to talk about the big connections that we're making with Harmel when we send the guys out. Is number one, the guys are going to have a deeper relationship with Jesus Christ because they pray morning prayer together, evening prayer together, night prayer together. We have an oratory with the Blessed Sacrament. We pray Mass together. They build a community together. So when the guys leave Harmel, they have a deeper relationship with Christ. They know how to pray more deeply. And also, we're trying to tackle and help stem the tide of the trade deficit as well. So there's a spiritual component. There's the universal economic component. Harmel is helping to bring good tradesmen to the workforce. And then also, teaching the men the trades, which we're lacking as well too, right? Men in the trades. So there's a variety of things that we're doing for society in general, right? So when people hear that, they're like, oh yeah, I can support that. I can support that. The interesting thing about Harmel, and this is one of the reasons why I felt God calling me to the priesthood, and that's a different story, but the reason why I found Harmel to be so inspiring and wanting to sacrifice my time in life for was there is, and I know you guys will agree with me, you probably see it just as deeply as I do. There's an extreme poverty of authentic masculinity amongst the young men, specifically 15 to 25.
Oh, yes.
And yeah. And so, Harmel is a Catholic trade school generating the next Catholic tradesmen, forming them through community, prayer, work, and study. But for me personally, just between us and everyone who's going to be listening, I'm primarily at Harmel because we need strong men in the world. We need good fathers. We need warriors of virtue. We need men who are going to stop the porn, stop the masturbation. We need men who are going to build virtue. They're going to stop being addicted to video games. Not that video games in themselves are bad, I guess, depending on what you're playing. If some of these guys at Harmel, they come in with these, I don't know, addictions, attractions, vices, and they'll stay up playing video games till 2-3 in the morning, and then they have to wake up at 5 to get to work. Now, tell me how long that's going to work.
Yeah, how long?
It's not.
Wow. So Harmel is a multi-pronged. I look at it as, in another way, in a spiritual sense, Harmel, I believe, is like boot camp, forming men to be able to go out into the world with a multi-pronged attack approach on the gates of hell. on the gates of hell. Because Satan doesn't want virtuous men. He wants to hold men down. That's what he did to Adam in the garden. As soon as Adam was not guarding the front door of his home, Satan went right in. He didn't look for Adam. Adam just wasn't there. But he went to Eve. What did JP2 say? The duty of every man is the dignity of every woman. And when men don't do that, it's Adam all over again. Like Adam's not protecting. He's not guarding. He's not defending like men are called to do. And so when we have men in the world who aren't going to stand in front of their garden and protect it, Satan is just going to continue to have his way with this world. But see, if we have men who are on fire for Christ, who are men of virtue, who know that they're warriors and their battle is with powers and principalities, and they protect their family with prayer and fasting and taking them to mass and all these things, especially men of virtue and discipline, they're going to be guarding the garden. Satan's not going to be able to enter the garden, right? They're going to do what Adam should have done. So that's how I view Harmel. I view Harmel as instilling in these young men the power of authentic masculinity to model Jesus Christ so that they can protect that which is good, true, and beautiful. And you get to lay down some fat beads.
Yeah.
Stacking dimes.
Yeah, you get to stack dimes.
Roll of dimes, baby. Nothing but butter all day.
Oh man, that's amazing.
So I got a lot of passion for this, as
yeah, you can tell. Absolutely. And that's what we need, right? We need people who are passionate about that. Especially trades, especially the state of, I don't know, just from what I've seen, the state of the trades. Because there's like a stereotypical tradesperson, right? And
big jacked up truck, pit vipers.
Yeah, the whole, right? And they're swearing up a storm and whatever. It's like, well,
living for the weekend, drunk all weekend.
Getting that paycheck, yeah.
Working their hangover off on Monday.
Yeah, exactly. I think going back to that image of St. Joseph and Jesus, like the tectons. I love the image of tecton because a lot of the images you see of St. Joseph's like this feeble old man who's like got a little hand planer, and it's like, no, that guy was probably jacked. And he went into the forest and yanked trees down or cut them down and drug them in. And then depending on whatever work, if he's doing masonry work, he's going and tying a big rope around a boulder and dragging that in. Like
his hands, man. Imagine his hands. Like imagine shaking Joseph's hand. Probably bring you to his knees. Bring me to my knees.
He'd crush your head. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah,
my name's St. Joseph. Well, no, my name's Joseph, the terror of demons.
Yeah.
You got soft hands, brother.
Yeah, no.
Exactly.
Where are your calluses?
Yeah.
You call that a grip?
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, it's interesting because I have many very academic friends, and they're all just like, well, how do we build churches? They're very, very like big into like the old world architecture of churches, especially, as am I. I mean, churches should be beautiful. They should look like a church. The only issue is we don't have a lot of the labor force to do that anymore. And I think Harmel is kind of building that next generation of people that could potentially do that and make churches beautiful again.
Yep. Yeah.
There's a new hat idea for you.
I like that.
Make churches beautiful again. Oh my gosh.
That's a shirt. I'll wear it.
Yeah, do it.
All right. You heard it here first.
Yeah, perfect. So what's a day in the life in the shop for you then? Like, I know you get there once a week, you said. And so are you in there with your hood on, stacking all day, or are you like, or do you go from like the chaplaincy, like, okay, we'll say mass and then we'll have mass in the morning, and then I'll go and then put your welding jacket and gloves and helmet on, lay some beads, and then you go to prayer after. Like, what's a day in the life? That's it.
That's it, man.
Thanks. Yeah. That's all, folks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. All right. End of podcast. Yeah, when I had an associate, I'd be there Wednesdays and then Saturdays. But now I'm there Wednesdays, and I'll pray mass here at the parish, take care of any last minute things, and then drive straight to Harmel and throw my steel toe boots on. I still have my clerics. I got my collar. I'll throw my leathers on, and then we begin the class. I'll gather the guys around in the fab shop, and we say a prayer in front of the crucifix. just giving the Lord thanks for this opportunity. It really is an opportunity to have these welders here and these saws and these grinders and these torch cutters, plasma cutters, all these things. They're all gifts. They're all gifts from the Lord so that we can build the kingdom here on earth, right? There's the co-creative act again. So we start with prayer, and it depends if I'm teaching welding 110 or welding 210. If it's welding 110, we're probably, I'm reminding them of all the safety protocols. If it's welding 210, which is advanced welding, what we're doing now is I'm getting them ready to test out vertical up flux core. So a G3 with flux core. And so we're doing a lot of, the cutting of the plate, the building of the coupon, the beveling of the coupon to get the right bevel, and then
land on.
Yeah. And just showing them how to build that, put it together, clamp it, tack it, get it up into the jig at the right elevation, make sure there's no welding flash, protecting everything, make sure the fume extractor's on, welder is running properly, it's set up properly, and then we're doing vertical root passes. So as you know, the root pass is very critical. It's very key. Sometimes I'll roll some spirituality into, welding. I'll talk about the Trinity in relation to welding and what they're doing. I'll talk about the root pass as, the most essential thing of our salvation is the passion of Christ. And that's what holds things together. And the root pass is very critical because it's a very important first pass when welding. So we dive into welding, but, I'm talking about the spirituality of Catholicism, interweaving it into actual weld. Or, maybe they get spatter that falls down their glove and it's burning their hand. I say, well, if it's a crappy root pass, stop, because your hand's burning right now anyway. But if it's a good root pass, take the pain and you keep welding, because you don't want to sacrifice that root pass. Jesus suffered on the cross, and know what? For this good root pass, you could do the same. So take the burn, baby. We joke like that. And so class is like 3 hours, 3.5 hours, and it's welding 210. So the guys who are in this class, they're in the metal fabrication program that I'm trying to develop right now. And so their primary goal is miscellaneous structural, architectural metal fabrication. So outside of the welding, we're doing some blueprint reading, some welding symbols, teaching like layout, jig building, things like that. Later in the year, we're going to build railings and install them. So there's a whole turnkey operation with that. So it depends. Then, after class, little break, I get cleaned up. I go into the dorm building, which is named after St. Benedict. So the St. Benedict dorm building. And the welding shop is St. Blaise.
Sweet.
And yeah, hey, you're going to love this. Our patron saints, St. Blaise, of course, St. Bede.
Yeah.
St. Bede the Venerable, right? You get it? Like Bede?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to love this. And you can use these too. St. Joan of Arc.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then all the archangels.
All the archangels.
Is that what you call all of the students? Is your archangels?
My little archangels. Yeah.
Yeah, my little archangel.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Then what else? Yeah. So, and then I get cleaned up. Maybe eat some grub, and then I have confession.
Sweet.
Confession, some spiritual direction. Then we all head up to the oratory. We pray vespers, pray evening prayer, and then we roll right into mass. And the Harmel masses are my favorite because I put on the cassock and everything else, right? And as I'm vesting, I look down and I see my steel toe boots. And I think to myself, how many priests pray mass in steel toe boots?
So cool.
And I look at my hands, and I used to have like thick, big old callous hands, and as a priest, I lost it. It's kind of emasculating, but that's just me, right?
Well, hey, your hands are meant for chalices, not calluses now.
Man, dude, that's like one of the worst things to ever say to a priest. I don't know, some priests like that. Some priests. There was a dude in seminary who said that to me, and I almost smacked him. I
got you.
Yeah, thanks.
I got that one from my dad.
Oh man, that is yeah. There's truth to that, but why can't these hands be made for calluses and chalices? Why can't we do both, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, then we pray mass, and I joke with the guys, like, I have Our Lady of Consolation homilies, and then I have Harmel homilies, and they're different. If you catch my drift.
Yeah. Totally.
Sometimes I lay it on the guys. I'm super honest with the guys, and I'm speaking to men. It's like I look at it as priests praying mass on a jeep in Vietnam, before the guys go out to battle, and it's just like men. This is a group of men, Jesus and the apostles, and Jesus isn't going to talk about being nice. He's going to talk about go out and slay demons in my power.
Yeah.
Go out and slay dragons. Like, guys want that. These young men who are 19, 20, 21, because we're a post-secondary education. So these guys are out of high school. We're accredited by the Department of Labor in Michigan as well, too. And
Cool.
guys get hours applied to their journeyman's card if they're there 2-3 years. Anyway, but, 19, 20, 21-year-old guys, and, probably consciously or subconsciously in the world, they're fed, effeminate, emasculating, and castrating BS. This is what a man is, right? But it's false. But a lot of them come from good families. So a lot of them know that already. Like, hey, the culture is trying to do this to us through radical feminism and all this stuff. But when I preach to the guys, it's, we're in a small oratory. There's 35 of us. And it's just like it's like a man cave, right? And I talk to them like, it's, like, you're built for so much more, right? Your masculinity is so powerful and so needed. Good women out there are looking for strong men, and you're built to slay demons with power of Jesus Christ. And it's like, what guy doesn't want to go out, kill the dragon, and save the damsel in distress, and that's not toxic, right? That's not toxic masculinity, and that's authentic masculinity. And anyway, what was I talking about? Mass.
Yeah.
So after
Yeah.
mass, this is all on Wednesdays. So after mass, we have dinner together, and then we have our formation session, which is about an hour and a half. And we'll invite local Catholic businessmen, local professors at Catholic schools to come in and talk about a certain topic with the guys. It's a formation. So the topic is not what they're learning in class or the lab. The topic is pulling deep within scripture and Catholic tradition and masculinity, and then having someone who's not a faculty member present the real world to them, about marriage, about women, about what it means to be a man. And so it's a formation session. Then after that, we pray comp line together. And then we hang out for a little bit. And usually by that time, it's 9:45, 10 o'clock at night. And then I go home. But
and then you deal with parish drama. Perfect.
Then I deal with all the parish stuff. But it would be great if I could be at Harmel, every day. But I'll take what I can get. If I have an associate, then I'm there on Saturdays in the morning, praying mass in the morning, then teaching class, and then hanging out with the guys. Sometimes we actually do Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I'm in BJJ, and so I'll teach the guys that too, because guys.
Of course. Why wouldn't you do that?
Why not? Because it's the human person. It's the man. Men are born to fight. We're strong. We have strength. But we use that. I love Dr. Jordan Peterson and how he talks about meekness and what that means. And it's a king who knows how to use his sword. He's a warrior, and he can slay anybody and anything with his sword. But he's meek, which means he keeps it in the scabbard, the sheath, and he'll only pull it out when he has to, using virtue, right? So that's what I find Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu teaches these guys at Harmel too, is what are you going to do when you're under pressure? Like, how do you act when you're under pressure? And then how do you act as well too when you learn certain techniques with your strength in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that could take someone's life? Like, what do you do with that? Because you have power as a man to give life and to take life. So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu can unpack in a man strength, and understanding that there's more to him than he thinks, right? Because I don't know if any of you guys roll, but BJJ can really can be intense. Can can really show you what you're made of. We do it with virtue, right? So there's another component of Harmel that I don't really talk about too much, but it's BJJ.
That's cool. Holy smokes.
That's pretty rad.
That's super rad. Like, I don't know, like, so everything you told us about Harmel, is that it's still unique in itself compared to like the other Catholic trade school? Like, are they all getting into the same kind of stuff that Harmel is, or as far as
I mean,
that you
this is,
know of? I guess you're not here to promote them, but
no, I will. I absolutely, we're all like you guys, starting the podcast, House of the Builder. See, the Holy Spirit's moving in us guys, in us men. The Holy Spirit's moving in you, and we're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to create good Christian men of virtue, strong men, because there's a war out there, man, and we're not doing so hot right now. So we need good men, and that's what you're doing too. So the Holy Spirit is moving and calling men to do these things. Harmel's one of them. House of the Builder is one of them. The School of St. Joseph next to Steubenville, Ohio, they're one of them as well. When we were getting started in 2016, 17, 18, 19, word started spreading. And there were actually bishops from dioceses that would call us and say, we heard what you're doing. We want to do that in our diocese. Can you help us? Some guys came up and visited us and said, hey, what are you doing and how are you doing it? And we would show them, right? We'd show them the ropes of how we got Harmel started. And then they'd take it back and they'd start doing it as well too. So they're all a little different. But Harmel, we like to pride ourselves that we feel that we're the second institution in the world that has started something like this, and we're moving. The first one was Leon Harmel. As I said before, we're named after Leon Harmel, and his canonization case got reopened again, which is awesome. So he was a Catholic businessman, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and in the late 1800s and into the 1900s. He actually teamed up with I think it was Pope Leo the 13th, maybe St. Pope Pius X as well. And he brought a Catholic social justice teaching into his idea of creating this community where families could gather and live. And in this community, self-sustaining community, he would teach Catholic church teaching. He would teach them the trades, and then they would create a movement that would battle against the Industrial Revolution that was destroying the dignity of the worker. So they brought in just wages, they brought in clean working environments, and he teamed up with, I'm pretty sure it was Pope Leo the 13th, to begin creating encyclicals such as Rerum Novarum. And
that's cool.
So Leon Harmel knew that the gospel of work and participating in the co-creative act of God and creating tradesmen, but bringing Catholicism into the workforce and clean work environments and the dignity of the human person when it comes to work, not as a thing to be used, because that'll fall into communism, which was sweeping across the area at that time as well too. So he started that, and unfortunately, I don't know what happened. It lasted a while, then everything kind of fell apart. It might have been because of World War I, and then into World War II, and never had a chance to reignite itself. Harmel passed away, but through the Holy Spirit, Harmel is still working through the Harmel Academy. Leon Harmel is still working through Harmel Academy, and it's not in France where he started it now, but it's in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So Harmel takes pride in the fact that we're close to Leon Harmel's vision, and hopefully he becomes a saint. It's really cool that the canonization group that's resurrecting this canonization case for Leon Harmel is actually reaching out to us because they know we exist, but it's all in French. So we're having some communication issues right now.
Yeah.
I might know a few
But
people
you know what?
who can help.
There are schools that are Springfield, Illinois. Bishop Paprocki, who is awesome, and the religious order of the Norbertines, they have a abandoned monastery that they're rebuilding, and they want to do something like Harmel, but with a little bit of a different twist, right?
Cool.
So we support them. Are they competition? I mean, obviously, there's students who will interview with us, and then we find out that they went to St. Joseph the Worker in Steubenville. Awesome, more power to you.
Steubenville.
If you feel called, there,
Yeah,
go
that's
in the spirit leads. But Harmel Academy is the only dynamic institution in the world that is continuing the legacy of Leon Harmel.
Love that.
Yeah, I do too. It's good stuff.
So, given that you've had a lengthy career in the trades before joining the priesthood, I gotta ask: are you a red guy, a yellow guy, a blue guy?
I'm a Catholic guy.
Fair enough.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, most of the trades workers up here are red guys.
Yeah.
I myself am a yellow guy
Big
because
Milwaukee fans up here. Tools. But just no Ryobi. We're all on the same page that way, right?
Hey, there we go. I can agree with that.
I'm team tool that works.
Yeah, cheap tools.
There we go. I don't know. Maybe if I was push comes to shove, I'd probably have to say red. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Cult of Red.
Yeah.
Hey?
How's that Kool-Aid taste?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Drink it down.
Yeah. That's so funny. We have at the school, I bought a lot of flex tools. And have you heard of flex before?
I don't think so.
They're just like cordless, just like every other brand, but they have a lifetime warranty. And it's perfect for when my high school students drop them and wreck things
Or
and
don't know how to use them.
That's what I should do. I should look into that. I'm still trying to work on sponsorship programs through Lincoln and through Miller. We do have like through Tecton, Milwaukee. Who else?
Tecton would be just a rad collaboration just to begin with.
Yeah.
You don't know what your name means, do you? Like
Every time I see the truck or I see the tools, I'm like, man, that is so cool. But
yeah.
I don't think you think that name thinks what you think it is, right?
Yeah.
I think you just think it sounds cool.
Yeah, exactly.
But you belong here. Yes.
I think probably one of the biggest tools that get all busted up and abused, I say, are 4-inch grinders.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Our 4-inch grinders. Those, and there's so many attachments to the grinder, and the hard wheel, the soft pad, the wire wheel, and the cutoff wheel, and
flap discs, and
yeah. And I go over that, safety with the grinder with the guys so many times, and how to attach all the accessories. And every time I open the drawer to pull out grinders, it's just like they attached everything so wrong, and it just drives me nuts.
Or
like the cord where it comes into the grinder is just all frayed, and it's just like, guys, what are you doing with these things? These aren't clubs.
They're chewing on them.
These aren't yours.
Some of my favorite classes to teach is when they roll into 70-18, especially when they start doing vertical up with 70-18, it sticks. And the guys get so mad, so PO'd, most of them. And I have to teach them how to, right? If you stick the rod, don't start shaking it off, right? Disconnect the electrode, let it cool, grab the end, break it off so you can still use the rod. So we call 70-18 the teacher of humility, right?
Yeah,
teacher of patience. So
see, I would have thought it would have been 60-10 that does that. Like when you're doing a root pass, like a groove.
Yeah.
And then it's just like it's so violent. And it's like and they're just and the kids are just and they don't understand that it's consuming the rod, so that they have to be the feeder and
yeah, exactly.
And
they
then
don't
it sticks, and then they go back forth.
Yeah, they shake it off. And it ruin the rod.
Completely ruin the rod. It's
bent.
bent.
All the flux comes off. Like, dude, that was like $1. You owe me $1.
Yeah, they don't care.
Just make them do push-ups every time they damage something.
That's if they come in late for class, they have to do push-ups.
Really?
So most of the professors.
Starting tomorrow. Yeah.
I don't do that.
I can't do that. It's a high school. Kids are too young. I'd get fired probably for that.
You could just be like, "Hey, bring me a snack."
I do have though. I am. If you're gonna be late because you went to get coffee at least bring me one.
Actually I had a teacher in high school, and that was his rule. And I tested it one day. I showed up late, and he's like, "Kate, you owe me a coffee." I was like, "I didn't think you were serious about that."
Yeah.
Now you know. Yeah.
But I do have, so I teach welding and fabrication, but I also started a trades program where we like build a wall, just like we just frame up a wall, and then we put electrical panel and wire it for a light and a switch, and then we rough in a sink, and then we just kind of they get a taste for it. They're grade 10, 11, and 12 kids, and I bought a real cheap punch clock thing. So we'd take like 2 weeks, and they all have to punch in. I don't not we don't punch out, but we punch in, and then at the end of the 2 weeks, we calculate how many minutes they were late, and how that if they were on salary, how much money they'd be costing their employer. If they're on hourly, how much they'd be costing themselves. And then we go through different job scenarios, like, okay, so you showed up half hour late, and then you're not ready yet, so you punch your card, and then you spend 15 minutes getting your boots on, and and then because you were late, the job that this guy, you're getting paid X amount being an apprentice heavy duty mechanic, let's say, and then this guy whose livelihood depends on his truck being on the road is waiting an extra hour, and like all those implications that they don't ever think about. And then we just put that we calculate how much money they're costing the guys with his truck down, the employer and themselves, if they're not making as much money as they could. And they're like, holy smokes, it's pretty cool. It works out pretty well.
That's like
That's
super
awesome.
cool. Because whether or not you know about it, if you're not in a customer facing position, you're in customer service if you're in the trades.
Yeah.
100%. And so there's some kids, because there's kids that are late every single day. And then so we punch that clock, and then they like cumulatively, they say that right, like 40 minutes or something like that, like late throughout the quarter. And then we take that and we just say, okay, what would be like an average month? So it's 2 weeks, we double that, that's 80 minutes, times that by your hourly rate. And then it just kind of helps them like understand, like, this is money, and our employer is not. Would you hire you? Would you keep you on if you were costing your company that much money? And a lot of them were like, no.
That's amazing. I want to do something like
You
that.
should. Yeah, you should. I bought it off of, that site Vivor. Have you heard of that? It's like a Chinese site. But they have a ton of like, really, like, I bought a diesel heater off of them, and they have some like good products, but they're just cheaper. And yeah, it's this little punch card thing. I can email you the link to it, but I mean,
please.
any sort of punch, you buy the cards on Amazon. They're all over Amazon too, actually. But it was cool. So they clock in. I don't have them clock out because they all leave at the same time. But it's just that lateness piece that I want to.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It also rolls into what is the commandment, thou shalt not steal.
Yeah, time theft, right? And when I was at Wyotech, I did a year at Wyotech in Laramie, and we had to be professional the entire time. Even when we were in our applied service management class, we had to have like a tie and a dress shirt. We got the dress shirt from them, but we had to be clean shaven. We had like all that. And even when we were into the shop stuff, so I did automotive technology and street rod and custom fab, and
Nice.
we even had to be dressed well. We had to have everything clean shaven. We had to be on time. If we weren't on time, we lost points and stuff like that. Yeah, I can't do that in a high school setting. I can't take away marks or whatever because they're late, but I can still use their lateness to help teach them something. Does that make sense? It's pretty cool. It's an eye opener for them. Oh, and I also got. You should do this too. Not you should, but this is really helpful. I went around to a lot of I sent a survey out to a lot of the companies that support us, and like, I just asked them, what would you tell a worker just entering the workforce, grade 12, whatever it is? What are like the 3 most important things that you think they need to have like down before they go into the workforce? And I go over that with them, and I have their company logos. Like, you see this company in the community. This is a big company. They do a lot of stuff for the community. We toured there. this is what they said. If you want a job here, you got to be on time. You got to take pride in your work. You got all these things that I'm harping on them. And then it's kind of applied out in the real world. It's really valuable.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Yeah. When I was business manager and supervisor position at the family business, those were the things that I looked for. Those were the things that, added seniority to a certain employee, or, the bonus or raises. Those are the things we looked for. We had very intelligent, awesome fabricators, right? But they thought they were above the system, and they wouldn't last. But then we would have other ones who are just really hard workers, and they're gung-ho, and they wanted to learn, they wanted to work, they wanted to excel. They showed up on time, they were respectful of authority and the other workers as well too. And those are the ones that stayed on. Those are the ones that got treated well, and the bonuses, raises, and things like that. And there's truth to that. So that's awesome that you're doing that, and teaching those basic concepts that are so important to these young future tradesmen and women. And you're right. And to see like, hey, this is a company, right? It's right down the road, let's just say, right? And this is what they want. And let's do that to 5-6 other companies. And there's a common denominator amongst all of them, and here it is. So it's and that's virtue. That's virtue, and it's
being a good steward of everything.
Yeah, you're teaching them that. That's a great concept. I like that.
It's cool. You should use it if you want. Feel free, because it really hammers home the reality of it's kind of that everything that a person learns in school has the tendency of falling into that. When am I ever going to use this?
Mm-hmm.
Even they're welding, of course they're going to use that, but that's like the official curriculum. But then there's like the unofficial curriculum or whatever that the soft skills that they need to have and that type of thing. I even go over handshake. Watch a video on handshake.
I was just going to say that. We teach the guys to look someone in the eye and then give them a firm handshake. Now, if it's a lady, this is how you shake her hand, because ladies have rings, and if you give them a firm handshake, the rings hurt them, right?
To their fingers.
Or yeah. So another thing about Harmel, I was just thinking about this, as you said, we teach them how to properly handshake when they come on board, whether they're first year guys, second year guys, third year guys. Well, the second year and third year guys, they already have a job particular to the trade that they're studying. Most specifically, what we specialize at Harmel is machines, systems, technology, and then metal fabrication right now. We did have an electrical program, but we had to cut that, but we're bringing that back. So the second and third year guys are most likely in metal fab or machine systems technology, because we have a huge healthcare industry here in Grand Rapids, automotive. So there's a lot of companies with CNC. And so a lot of these guys leave Harmel halfway to their journeyman's card, but in a really good company, a CNC company or a metal fabrication company, right? But everybody who comes in, if they're first year guys or second or third year guys, they all have to work. They all have to have a job. But the first year guys is called the Foundations program. So they have to get a job. So we have to teach them how to dress, how to do an interview, how to do a resume, how to shake a hand, and things like that. But they have to get a job, and they have to go get it themselves, because they work in the lab, they work in this classroom, they work in the community together, but they also have jobs too. So amongst the week, they're going to school, lab, but they're also working. So they get paid as well, which helps with tuition. But they have to get a job, even if it's delivering pizza, or even if it's working at Lowe's or Discount Tire or something. That's the Foundations year. That's the Foundations program. And in that year, they work humanities, pray together, but they also sample, framing homes, carpentry, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, blacksmithing, we also have an automotive. We have an automotive section where, they'll take out an engine, rebuild an engine. They build go-karts. And then at the end of the year, we have Mario Kart racing. We have a huge field where we build this track, and it's Mario Kart. And so all the golf carts are usually, two-seaters. And so you have one driving, and then you have one with a mounted paintball gun.
That's
and then
amazing.
You have balloons. You have balloons in the back, and then you race, and you're shooting everybody, and, all your balloons. You have to pit, get new balloons. And so, you're building go-karts, and then you get to race them. And so there's all kinds of things that these guys do. And if they want to come back for their second year, they have to choose metal fab advanced welding, metal fab, machine systems technology, hopefully soon electrical. And if they come back for a third year, they have a lot of leadership responsibility. They live on campus, they work full time, but they also help with like teaching and formation, and they look after the guys, the first and second year guys, right? So they're like stewards, household stewards. So it's quite an integrated formation program as well too. But one of the first things we do when they come in is how to dress properly for an interview, and then how to shake a hand, and also cleanliness. Some of these guys come in and it's just like,
They're ripe, eh?
you know, your mommy's not here. Like, can you please at least make your bed?
Yeah.
Please shower.
You
Yeah, exactly. Please shower. Man, something smells a little funky in here. Like,
yeah, you guys are ripe. Like, we need to talk about this. Oh my gosh.
it's fun stuff, man. It's fun. It's fun.
I love it. That's amazing.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited for you guys as well too, as you journey in your apostolate, and what you're doing in the world too, and with the people you encounter, right?
Appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now, something to pray for too. Now I know there's a House of the Builder out there podcast. These two guys, all right. We're all in the same boat with this thing. So
That'd
get
be
to pray
amazing.
for you guys.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Remember you guys at Mass.
Wow, thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you
It's
so
important.
much.
What you guys are doing is important.
It means a lot, actually, for sure. Thank you.
That's very good to hear, because it's kind of just been you and I in our own sort of sounding chamber a little bit. So
yeah, it's good to know that
you guys, if you guys ever want networking with other podcasts who are kind of doing the same thing, or connections with other schools, let me know. I can hook you guys up. Anytime. If you ever want another interview with Harmel, if you get our president, Dr. David Phelps, he's the mastermind behind our co-creative gospel of work humanities program. I mean, this guy is amazing. And if you can get him on, and he's super busy, but he will dive extremely far and deeply into the co-creative act of God. He loves this. He's coining terms, and he's developing things like, wow, like that's going to be Catholic social church teaching at some point.
Yeah.
So he can really unpack all of it deeply with theology and philosophy. I'm just a blue collar grunt, and
no, I wouldn't say just.
Ordained priest.
Yeah, I'm just a blue collar grunt with clerics on.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Father Dom, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We really appreciate your time. It's been what, an hour and 16 minutes. This has been crazy. I could go on forever, but we all have stuff going on too. But
yeah, I got to get ready for confessions.
Sweet.
All right.
We got to have you on again. If there's ever a time you want to talk about, if you're like, oh, this would be pretty cool, just send us an email. We'll hook it up. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, likewise with you guys. Even just ideas about things or possibilities, or maybe, as you guys have guests on your podcasts, shooting me out the name or something. And because, on top of, being the pastor at OLC in Harmel, I also help out with VLA Ministries. It's after St. Pier Giorgio Frassati, who was just canonized. VLA is Verso El Alto. It's his clarion call to the heights, right? So we take young adults up into the mountains of Colorado.
Sweet.
And we give them like a retreat experience. So do a lot of work with them. And so we take a lot of young men up into the mountains and teach them that, there's more to you than you think. There's a lot of strength that you have, right? And they do just difficult things, right? And then on top of that, I helped start a podcast about 4 years ago called The Manly Catholic with James Caldwell. And it's dedicated towards bringing men back to the faith, bringing men into the Christian faith and virtues of fatherhood. So we bring on a lot of really good guests with that too. And so, just continue to network with each other. And, if I have someone on Manly Catholic, he's like, oh man, you'd be great on a House of the Builder, send them your way or something like that. If you want Bishop Athanasius Schneider, we had him on a couple months ago. I'll send him your way.
That's a
Sweet.
fantastic name.
We're there.
Athanasius Schneider.
That's heavy. That's Tecton.
Oh man,
Tecton grade.
That's an old world name right there.
So I will link I'll put all the links to everything you just mentioned in the show notes of this podcast. And do you have any like social media that people can find you at, or is that kind of?
with Harmel,
Just
No,
with
it's
all the Harmel stuff. Okay,
our
so I'll put
website.
that in the.
I don't do any social media at all. I'm off all that stuff. But yeah, everything. I mean, Harmel is all over everything. You know, whatever social media platform you want to find Harmel, they're there.
I'll put it in the show notes so everyone can take a peek at that.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and if we ever I would not be against going to Colorado or going to going to visit Harmel in Michigan. That'd be pretty rad. Do a tour.
Let me know.
Take the-
Let me know. Yeah. I mean, I've always wanted to go to Alberta too. So
Hey, anytime. Come in and you can speak.
I have a cousin up there. Actually, I have a cousin up in Alberta.
Whereabouts?
And I don't know exactly. I don't know. I got to look that up.
Jim from Alberta. So. Yeah, we know Jim from Alberta.
I'm related to Jim from Alberta.
Yeah. Office Glenn. Yeah. No, he passed away.
Oh, Bob from Alberta? I mean, come on. You know Bob from Alberta.
You know Bob. Yeah.
I'm related to Bob from Alberta.
Bob from Canada?
Yeah.
100%. It's such a small country.
Yeah.
There's so few of us. But thank you so much, Father Dom. This has been really great. And we'll look forward to having you on again and staying connected. And yeah, it was really awesome. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah. And we'll be praying for you. Appreciate your prayers as well.
Yeah. Thanks. And thanks for the uplifting or the affirming affirmation.
Affirming words.
It's as an end note, I mean, what you guys are doing and what we're doing, like I said, we're forming men to be like the second Adam, right? Like Jesus, not to be the first Adam, right? But be the second Adam. And, Satan doesn't like that very much. And so, in the midst of everything we've done at Harmel, I mean, there were a couple times where we almost had to shut our doors, but we persevered. It was completely demonic attacks, right? Trying to bring us down, trying to keep us from fulfilling this apostolate that Christ wants us to as well, too. And it's the same with you. You guys journey into this battlefield of authentic masculinity and building virtue with men and women. There's going to be the attacks, right? So you guys just keep persevering.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm excited now. I was excited before, but more so.
Well, it's good because it's okay, here's another group of guys on the battlefield that help bolster, the mission, right? So when a Catholic trade school pops up, we're like, yeah, man, that's awesome. Or a podcast pops up where it's dedicated towards the same thing, work and the trades and virtue. It's yeah, man, that's awesome. So it bolsters all of us.
It's cool. Right on. Yeah, Father Dom, thanks again for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And we'll look forward to having you on again. Thank you so much.
Yeah, God bless you.